It's 11 questions on TV show pilots. Can you name these favorite shows from throughout the ages by the description of the first episode? I hope so. This is Trivia with Buds. What it be? And welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Buds, in my mobile recording studio, aka my 09 Hyundai Sonata. I'm recording in the driveway, actually not even the driveway, it just parked in front of my house because the driveway is pretty full of other cars over in Fontana, California, at the new house that we rent. My house is crazy right now. There's kids running around and the walls are real thin. So I said, I got to run out to the car and record this intro and outro for this episode on TV pilots. So here we are. I used this in my arsenal of trivia rounds last week, I believe, 2/25/19 week of February. And we're getting ready to work on all kinds of fun stuff coming your way. And courtesy of people who pick great topics for this show, the Patreon subscribers. So they have kind of started running the show themselves, the people that are the biggest fans of this show. And we got some great topics around the corner, like March birthdays and Futurama, and so many great topics, unique and otherwise. So get excited for some fun stuff. I love television myself. If you've listened to this show before, you know that we do a lot of different TV-related trivia rounds, and one of my favorite shows of all time, Curb Your Enthusiasm, will be an episode coming up in March. I don't think we've done any specific Curb trivia before, like a whole episode on just Curb Your Enthusiasm, so that'll be fun if you're a fan of that show, and I think it's getting ready to come back. I think they're maybe done filming, or they're in the middle of filming, whatever the next season is. And what's crazy about that show is it's been on for a long-ass time, like the early 2000s, I think is when it came on, like 2003, maybe, 2002, something like that. And they've taken a lot of breaks in between seasons and things, but one of my favorites, Larry David, of course, from Seinfeld fame, and that's about it, man. Isn't that crazy that he's just done like those two things and then a handful of other appearances and things? He was in like a Woody Allen movie called Whatever Works, which was not so great. I remember renting it when it came out. But man, what a track record for those two of the biggest series of all times in terms of comedies. So that is wild. A lot of big comedies ending this year. They announced Modern Family is ending next year. And what else? Oh, Veep is going off. And Big Bang Theory, which I've only seen a handful of episodes of, but has a big audience, I imagine. And by big audience, I mean my brother Tom, who's like, did you see this week's Big Bang? Every year since it's been on, every week of every year since it's been on. And I'm always like, no, I don't watch the show. But there you go. So some quick news on things that are closing up and shutting down. But hey, they live on forever in reruns, right? Speaking of reruns, I've been finding some crazy, awesome deals over at the Dollar Tree. If there's a Dollar Tree near you, every once in a while, they'll get like a big shipment of books that they had like a surplus of, or movies that they had a surplus of at different stores that I imagine sell them to the dollar store for very cheap. So much so that they can make profit off of buying them for less than $1. But I went recently, courtesy of my friend Cool Duder, Sean C. Phillips, over on YouTube. If you're ever looking for some good DVD news or reviews of things that still come out on DVD and Blu-ray, check out youtube.com/CoolDuder. And Sean C. Phillips went to some Dollar Trees in California, not far from where I live, and he makes these videos where he goes like, Blu-ray and DVD shopping. And he found some really good deals at a Dollar Tree. So I went to the Dollar Tree by my house, and I'm looking at a bag of stuff right now. Here's one thing I got for $1. It's Heroes Season 3 on Blu-ray. Can you believe it? A whole Blu-ray. It's a 5-disc set, and it's the Blu-ray version of Heroes Season 3. I don't know. This probably came out 10 years ago, maybe, on Blu-ray. I don't know when this show was on. But it was $1 plus tax. So it was like $1.08 for this entire season on Blu-ray. So I imagine these are just like sitting somewhere and they're like, hey, we got to sell, 10,000 copies of Heroes Season 3 on Blu-ray to the Dollar Tree. And then the Dollar Tree gets them. And then if you get first dibs, you get to grab some cool stuff. I also got an entire volume of 30 for 30. It's like a 7-disc set. It was $1. So if you're into that kind of thing, go to Dollar Tree and see what you can find. I know I get a little charge out of finding something that cool for that cheap because it makes a great trivia prize or a gift for somebody who might love Heroes. So just a little extra tidbit from me. Okay, we're going to jump into 11 questions on TV show pilots. I'll describe the first episode of the show, and you tell me what show you think we're talking about. Here we go. Here we go, TV pilots number 1. A troubled young man makes waves in a wealthy harborfront community where the residents lead secret lives. Number 1, a troubled young man makes waves in a wealthy harborfront community where the residents lead secret lives. What show is that? Based on the pilot description. Number 1. Question number 2, while enrolled in a demanding residency program, Meredith and 4 other first-year surgical interns tried to balance life and work in Seattle. Number 2. Question number 3, TV pilots. A cosmetics saleswoman from Queens is hired to care for the children of a widowed, upscale Broadway producer. Number 3, a cosmetics saleswoman from Queens is hired to care for the children of a widowed, upscale Broadway producer. Number 3. Number 4 on your list, when a young lawyer starts a new job at a crisis management firm, she must deal with an accusation against the nation's president on her first day. Number 4, when a young lawyer starts a new job at a crisis management firm, she must deal with an accusation against the nation's president on her first day. Number 5, killed by a fallen chunk of the Mir space station. A teenage girl discovers there really is an afterlife when she's assigned to be a Reaper, charged with delivering souls to their eternal reward. What show is that? The Reaper and the Souls. Number 5. Number 6, Frank and Carol try to keep their marriage a secret when they return home from a vacation in Jamaica. Number 6, Frank and Carol try to keep their marriage a secret when they return home from a vacation in Jamaica. Number 7, Carl is not happy about his mother coming to live in his already crowded household. Number 7, Carl is not happy about his mother coming to live in his already crowded household. Number 7. Number 8, when their father goes missing, Dean and Sam follow the clues from his phone message until they get to a small town where they encounter a violent spirit called the Woman in White. Number 8, what show are we talking about there? This may be a show that we dedicate a whole future episode to based on a Patreon subscriber's pick. When their father goes missing, Dean and Sam follow the clues from his phone message until they get to a small town where they encounter the Woman in White. Number 9, Vice President Selena Meyer and her staff try to find their footing in Washington, D.C. A series of missteps caused the staff to work damage control. Number 9, Vice President Selena Meyer and her staff. Number 9. Question number 10, TV pilots. A journalist asks the team to search for her missing colleague in Mexico. Number 10, a journalist asks the team to search for her missing colleague in Mexico. Number 10. And your bonus question for 2 points is Andrew falls under the spell of the aroused hormone monster. Nick becomes obsessed with the lack of changes in his own body. What show is that for 2 points? The TV pilot description is Andrew falls under the spell of the aroused hormone monster. Nick becomes obsessed with the lack of changes in his own body. All right, everybody, those are the questions for TV pilots. We'll be right back in a second with the answers to see how many of them you got right. We'll see you in a second. TV pilots. Here come the answers to this round on your favorite TV shows and their first episodes. Number 1, a troubled young man makes waves in a wealthy harborfront community where the residents lead secret lives. That's my boy Ryan Atwood, and Fox's The O.C. The O.C. That was my favorite show in college. I remember I was dating a girl who was obsessed with it, and she's like, you should watch it with me. And I'm like, I'm not watching The O.C. And then I started watching it, and I was like, oh, this is like the best show of all time. Number 1, The O.C. Number 2, while enrolled in a demanding residency program, Meredith and 4 other first-year surgical interns try to become Grey's Anatomy. That's what they try to become, right? Number 2, that show just passed, I think, the longest-running hospital drama, 15 years, something like that. In prime time? I don't know. Number 3, a cosmetic saleswoman from Queens is The Nanny. That's Fran Drescher. And The Nanny loved her as, I think, the aunt on Broad City, somebody's aunt, and really funny. in a lot of things. I am not a huge fan of The Nanny, though. Do not like The Nanny. Don't really like the character. And the music, when it would come on, would just send chills up my spine. Like, here comes The Nanny. I'd be like, oh, no, not this show. But that was as a kid. There was something about it I hated as like a kid or a teenager, so maybe I can go back and get something out of it now. Who knows? Number 4. When a young lawyer starts a new job at a crisis management firm, she must deal with a scandal. And that was the name of the show. Scandal. Shonda Rhimes. Scandal. How to Get Away with Murder. Grey's Anatomy. That lady is rich. Number 5. Killed by a fallen chunk of the MIR space station. A teenage girl becomes a reaper. That's Dead Like Me. One of my wife's favorite shows. We have the box set. And the movie, like Showtime made a movie, I think, after the show went off the air. We got the whole thing. Number 5. Number 6, Frank and Carol try to keep their marriage a secret when they return home from a vacation in Jamaica. The answer was Step by Step. That was a tough one unless you really knew those names, Frank and Carol. I think I could have got it because I loved the Patrick Duffy, Suzanne Summers show, and I remember their character names. And hey, I wrote the question, so maybe I'm just a little biased. Number 7, Carl is not happy about his mother coming to live with his already crowded household. That's Family Matters. Carl Winslow and Steve Urkel and the whole gang. Number 8, a little tidbit about Family Matters, was a spinoff of Perfect Strangers, if you didn't know that. Harriet, the wife, was the elevator operator in the building that the Perfect Strangers duo lived in, I think. Or maybe worked in. I forget what building it was, but little side piece of trivia for you. Number 8, when their father goes missing, Dean and Sam do a bunch of supernatural stuff, and that is the show. Supernatural, number 8, Supernatural. Number 9, Vice President Selena Meyer and her staff try to get their footing in Washington, D.C. That's Veep. I mentioned that in the intro as a show that's on its last season. Julia Louis-Dreyfus in Veep. Number 10, a journalist asks the team to search for her missing colleague in Mexico. The team in question was the A-Team, the 80s show starring Mr. T, the A-Team. And for 2 points, as Andrew falls under the spell of the aroused hormone monster, Nick becomes obsessed with the lack of changes in his own body. That's Nick Kroll and John Mulaney in Big Mouth, my new favorite show on Netflix. 2 seasons and a Valentine special. You should go watch all those episodes if you like stuff that's funny. But it is very filthy. So if you have kids in the house, make sure they're not around because they'll start asking you about puberty way before you want them to. And that show is Big Mouth. Going back to the A-Team, number 10, how did they never do a spinoff called like the T-Team about just Mr. T? Wouldn't that have been interesting? I think so. The T-Team? Maybe they did. Maybe it was on the cutting room floor somewhere. Who knows? But hey, thanks for listening to today's episode about TV show pilots. Hope you got something out of it or had some fun answering the questions, or maybe you want to send them to someone and see who got a higher score in a quick trivia battle. Or maybe you're just training for the big Geek Bowl next year, or for your local trivia night just to get some knowledge. People write me and say, hey, I kind of use your show to get ready for the week, so thanks for doing it every day, and I'm happy to do it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will have another trivia host as a guest on the show all the way from Hawaii. The Trivia Girl on Instagram, my friend Katie Cunningham, will be on the show this Sunday night. We'll record it, and I'll post it sometime this week, so that should be a fun episode. If you like when I chat with other trivia hosts, we're going to see what hosting trivia and playing trivia in Hawaii is all about this Sunday. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. And if you have any suggestions on how to make the show more interesting, more fun, more competitive, whatever you want to do, send me an email, ryanbuds@gmail.com. That would be awesome. And I love hearing from you. So hit me up with any info anytime. Also, if you want to plug anything on the show, happy to help you out. If you got something coming up where you're like, hey, I could use a shout out about my album recording or my new website or my new service or whatever, just let me know. I'll try and work it in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend, and we'll see you tomorrow for more trivia with Buds. Cheers.